Welcome to React with Alucard, your host, London VK Alucard.
It's your boy, the Vampire King himself. Got my new vampire hoodie, the Nosferatu, if y'all can see it. Oh yeah, y'all can see it. If y'all haven't checked that movie out, definitely check it out. It's on Peacock and Chef's Kiss. It's just the photography, from the cameras to the actors and to the color palettes they have in the movie, is just the same as like last year's vampire movie, The Last Voyage of Demeanor. If y'all didn't check that out, man, y'all should have checked that out. And we had Renfield, but that was more a comedy. So we're doing a death battle today. I want to welcome y'all to London Alucard Reacts. It's your host, the Vampire King himself, London Alucard, and we're doing a reaction to Ghost Rider versus Spawn. Excuse me. Let's get it.
Johnny Blaze has always been a man possessed, chasing the thrill of certain doom by performing death-defying stunts, following the example of his adoptive father, Crash Simpson.
Until the day Crash lived up to his name and got cancer, heartbroken and without enough Wampa fruit to save him, Johnny turned to the only thing that could, chemotherapy.
The devil.
Oh!
To cure Crash's cancer, Johnny sold his soul to Mephisto, king of the 8th layer of hell.
Only for Crash to actually live up to his name right after.
But instead of sweeping up Johnny's soul, Mephisto had something else in mind. He bound Johnny to an instrument of divine wrath.
I ain't gonna cap. If you haven't watched Ghost Rider, you gotta have watched it with Nick Cage. Oh my god, he plays a good fucking Ghost Rider. I hate they didn't bring him back or introduce him into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hopefully they do like a Midnight Suns TV show where they have like all the mystical creatures like Swamp Thing, Ghost Rider, Nico who's a half human, half witch, Morbius, Blade. Hopefully they do it, because the Midnight Suns game is actually not that bad. It's actually fun. I'm about to be starting a series up. Midnight Sun playing it. I'll be having a video, I don't know when, but I'll be having it up soon.
The spirit of vengeance.
So Johnny Blaze lived up to his name and burst into Hellfire, an undead skeleton biker with the sickest hog. The
Ghost Rider.
Cage performance. The stuntman from
I wish they
hell.
kind of would have
He
showed
called
his
himself
skin peeling off.
The Daredevil.
Sorry, Johnny, that name's taken.
Okay, then how about the Ghost Rider?
Sure, we definitely didn't forget that we named the character the same thing only 5 years earlier. All you.
The Ghost Rider was bad news for Earth sinners and scumbags.
Oh, they're
He's
showing
strong enough
Midnight
to
Suns
pull down
gameplay.
skyscrapers, blow up mountains, and cause
If you play-
earthquakes that can be felt across
If you played Midnight Suns, let me know what y'all think about it.
whole countries.
Don't even think about fighting back. He can remake his whole body from the hellfire that engulfs him, making him immune to all physical damage. Only holy weapons that target his soul can harm him.
It's not just his body, his whole
Oh, they had a
particle
Ghost
is
Rider game?
Hellfire. Ghosty can create anything he can think of, from an infinite stream of chains, a shotgun packed with fiery rounds, or a flaming missile barbed right out of his mouth. Life goals.
And he can imbue other objects with hellfire, such as his hell cycle.
Oh, this badass bike can outpace Thor's hammer Mjolnir, which can cross the universe in seconds.
Hellfire is a
Really?
weapon
I
in
didn't
and
know
of
that.
itself, whether shot out of his hands, raining down from the sky, or released from his
He's a boner, Wiz. Get it? And it doesn't just scorch flesh. Hellfire is so deadly, it can burn away your very soul.
This
Damn.
technique would be mastered by Johnny's successor, his own brother, Danny Ketch.
Oh yeah, Johnny's not the only Ghost Rider, and Danny was the first to master their most famous
That's the old
move.
man.
You know, the one that burns your soul to smithereens with just a look, the penance stare.
The penance stare inflicts upon its victims every ounce of pain they ever wreaked upon others. Every cruelty, no matter how small or righteous, is reflected back. A biblical punishment.
Obliterating your soul. It even works on other Ghost Riders, like when Johnny and Danny got into a staring contest and Danny actually depowered Johnny.
Eyes are windows to the soul, so Ghost Rider must be able to match his victim's gaze for the penance stare to work. Some people have survived it, like a Punisher supposedly because he didn't regret his actions, but it did work on him on other occasions.
Well, Johnny can adjust how deadly it is.
It's probably
and it
certain
doesn't
people you could
necessarily have to kill you. He can use the
It's probably certain people it happens on, like Deadpool and Punisher. It probably don't work on. Daredevil, maybe. It may work on Daredevil.
stare to read minds, force you to confess info, or just show you the error of your ways.
Remember, the Ghost Rider is two souls in one body, with the kinder Johnny battling the demon Zarathos in a war of control.
A classic Faustian bargain. All the power in the world, but if you want it, it uses you. Because if Johnny gives in, the demon's full might will take over, and then everything is screwed.
Of course, it wanted us to give us an ad of Assassin's Creed.
He can open up portals between dimensions, control the elements, pen and stare an entire city, and fly all the way to Asgard, which is a literal infinite distance away.
He's manhandled some of Marvel's heaviest hitters, like Thor, World War Hulk, and Doctor Strange. Hell, Strange said Zarathos is a threat to all realms, mortal and immortal.
Hyperbole? Think again. The Archangel Zadkiel said that the power of the Ghost Rider could threaten all of existence, and even bring down heaven itself.
Right before an army of Ghost Riders did just that. Yeah, an army. The spirits of vengeance are legion.
As far back as the Great Flood, humans have been bonded to the vestiges of God's power to act as his divine wrath on Earth. A sort of heavenly Black Ops.
Okay, wait, does that make Zarathos an angel now, or still a demon?
Both? Neither? Despite being one of the greatest entities in existence, it's unclear. What we do know is that ages ago, Zarathos feasted on souls and battled Mephisto for rulership of his realm. Mephisto, ever the trickster, claimed victory and gained control of Zarathos forevermore. Hence how he could bond him to Johnny.
But Zarathos got his revenge against that big red bitch with another Ghost Rider, Alejandra Jones. Bet you had one more day to fix that hole in your chest, huh?
Comic book fan punching bag though he may be, Mephisto is unbelievably powerful. A battle with him could cause omniversal Armageddon, fitting as his fight with Galactus rents the cosmos asunder.
And Galactus' fights can destroy all of Marvel's infinite multiverse. That's the kind of awesome power at Zarathos' disposal. Total cosmic annihilation.
So it was no surprise Johnny went down to the underworld and took Hell's throne for himself, usurping the devil that ruined his life and finally grabbing destiny by the handlebars.
Scoring the total power of hell itself, plus a sick-ass upgrade, the Damnation Stare, which skips the whole every pain you've ever inflicted thing and just sends you straight to hell. No shot.
As they say though, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. Johnny began an obsessive crusade to capture all of Hell's escaped demons. But by using his new power to damn them to hell, he began absorbing their evil, feeding off of it, and it corrupted him. Once again, Johnny Blaze was a man possessed.
In truth, Johnny was just as trapped by Hell's power as he'd always been, and he needed Danny's help to pull him out of the darkness.
Though he gave up Hell's throne, the Ghost Rider continues his war against demons without and within, mentoring his fellow Ghost Riders in the ways of vengeance, always prowling the highways for the evil and the profane.
An unstoppable engine of judgment that, with just a glance, would make Galactus himself shit his pants.
Maybe one day he'll find salvation in the eyes of one of his victims.
As they sure as hell won't find any in his. This battle is sponsored by Robin Hood Gold.
With
Let's go ahead and scoop that.
Al Sims was one thing, he was a killer.
a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army and the CIA's most decorated assassin.
This was a good movie too with Spawn. I wish they would have did more of it. I never watched the animated series. I'm about to start watching it.
Simmons upheld democracy around the globe at the barrel of a gun, painting the third world in red, white, and blue, but mostly red.
Until his final fateful mission when, per his boss's orders, Al was fired.
The burning was only getting started because Al's immortal soul was on a one-way trip to hell.
Where he cut a deal with Malvosia, the big, naked lord of the 8th Circle of Hell.
By their pact, Simmons would be reborn a Hellspawn, a superpowered commander of Hell's army.
Spawn.
In exchange for seeing his wife one more time.
Oh, buddy, you're just asking to get monkey's bud.
Al Simmons returned from the dead as a decaying zombie 5 years later, after his wife had already remarried and had a daughter.
There,
Aw.
you saw her. Now get back to work, bitch.
Thus was born the undead warrior from hell itself, Spawn.
He's so 90s that he comes all the way back around to being the coolest thing ever. Look upon his Ed Wizard and despair.
Spawn would violently defend New York's downtrodden, while slowly uncovering the full breadth of his demonic powers.
He's like a walking superpower encyclopedia. He can fly, teleport, turn invisible and intangible, move things with his mind, make force fields, control the elements and the weather, and even stop time. Speaking of time, he can fly so fast, he literally breaks into other dimensions and smashes time as a concept.
He can manipulate matter, shape-shifting his own body or transmuting other objects and people. He can even control and absorb your soul.
Wait, Wiz,
Wow.
if he can rearrange molecules and crap, why doesn't he just fix his uggo face?
Well, he tried to do that, but Malvosia cursed him so that he could only make himself... yeah.
What?
Petty trolling like that gets you a throne in hell.
To be fair, Spawn can achieve a similar result with illusions and mental manipulation. He can read and control minds, implant and replace memories, or simply drive you mad.
Can do all of this crazy shit because it runs on necroplasm. Basically, hell juice.
You're not wrong. Necroplasm is the energy that makes up hell itself. Al's undead body is composed of 400 pounds of it.
He can
Wow.
wield it like an energy blaster empowered by the sins of others. Spawn can absorb your evil and feed off of it. By simply walking on Earth, Spawn feels all of humanity's pain all at once.
He's even
Damn.
absorbed the sins of 8 million New Yorkers instantly, cleansing them of their evil.
Like Jesus?
Or he can do the reverse and make you experience the full weight of your own sins, feeling every bit of pain you've ever
Bro, I
inflicted
know
on
that's gotta
others
be
over
torture
your
to
whole
feel
life.
every
Like
pain.
some sort of penance.
Though Spawn's necroplasm comes with a catch.
Yeah, he's got a limited amount of the stuff, and it drains every time he uses his powers. He runs out, he's dragged back to hell.
Even depowered, Spawn can rely on his elite military training in hand-to-hand combat. He's even fought Batman to a standstill.
And as befits
And he
his
fought-
past profession, he loves his...
He also fought Invincible. It's a comic, apparently. They didn't want to... I guess they don't have the rights to do Spawn. Because we would have seen Spawn and Invincible when they did the Invincible War. The Invincible War. They just did that on the Invincible TV show. I guess they don't have the rights to use Spawn. Because we would have seen Spawn in there if they did. But even though Spawn wasn't in there, I was a little disappointed because I read the comics. And I'm like, oh man, it would have been so cool if Spawn was in there. Would have made it like even more better. But it was already cool already. But that would have just pushed the cake even more if we would have got Spawn in there. Because Spawn, if you don't know, if you read the comic, Spawn got into it with one of the Invincible evil, the evil Invincibles in the Invincible War.
Ass 90s guns.
They probably
His
not gonna
greatest
mention
weapon
it.
is the same being he's genetically and spiritually bonded to, his cloak. Letha, the 7th house of K.
You ever wonder why his cape's red? Nope, well, now you are, and it's red because it's made from the apple Eve ate in the Garden of Eden. It's
Oh, really?
literally made of original sin. Oh, and also the souls of a million sinners, including every one of those victims. Also
Yeah.
a touch of vampire for good measure.
K7 Letha is constantly evolving.
I
It
figured
can act
that.
independently to defend Spawn with an infinite string of chains, transform into weapons, or drain people of their power. It is the most potent weapon Hell has ever created.
It even helped Spawn beat the primordial dark god Urizen, who can destroy and eat your soul with just a glare.
Except the souls bonded to Spawn acted as a buffer, allowing him to survive.
You'd think with an arsenal like that, he'd be unstoppable. But Hellspawns have a weakness to holy weapons and and can be killed permanently if decapitated by one.
Though Spawn has managed to survive this in the past. Now, Spawn's greatest weakness is his own, how do I put this? Stupidity.
So Spawn fought this angel lady, Angela. Great name for an angel. She had this dimensional lance that could wipe Hellspawn out of existence, and Spawn got it. But instead of, being cautious around a mysterious angel weapon that hurts him, he just had to push the big shiny button and activate it on himself.
And so, Spawn was forever destroyed until he reconfigured reality to undo his own existence.
There we are, good as new. That has to be the first time we've seen someone accidentally kill themselves and survive.
On his quest Hell's greatest warrior, Spawn has defeated a serial killer ice cream man, a demonic clown, and even his old boss remade by Heaven into an anti-Spawn. He's even encountered other Hellspawn.
Killing bad guys might seem counterintuitive if you work for a Hell Lord, but it actually just adds more souls to Balbocia's army. An army Spawn would have to lead in a war with Heaven that had killed all of humanity.
Because the reason Balbocia chose Al to be his commander wasn't that he was some great warrior. It was because Al had proven that he was the best at taking orders.
All his life and all his death, Al was nothing more than a hired gun.
But he knew it, and he would do so no more.
So Spawn marched down to Hell and ripped Balbocia's head off. With a scream so loud it echoed through all of reality, Spawn became the king of the 8th circle of Hell.
As king.
Get hooked up on everyday spending with Cash App offers.
Oh, Rocket League.
A part of Hell itself, gaining access to an unlimited pool of energy that increases 100-fold with every heartbeat. He's effectively omnipotent in there, and strong enough to challenge other Hell Lords like Mammon and Satan.
He got so strong, the only thing left was to finally resolve the war between Heaven and Hell.
But Spawn needed help from the being who created this God and Satan to begin with, the mother of existence, Gaia.
She wasn't cool with her kids being total assholes, so she appointed Spawn to be the universe's savior.
By eating the fruit from the Tree of Life, Spawn became truly divine, capable of battling God and Satan in a stalemate for eternity that extinguished all life on Earth.
And each of them were powerful enough to create and control infinitely sized universes.
Spawn broke the stalemate by letting God and Satan destroy him, only for Gaia to separate two from the reality they threatened.
Then, just like that time with the lance, Spawn respawned and recreated the Earth. Oh, good as new.
Finally free of the weight of heaven and hell, Al asked to be reborn as a human. But he knew in his heart he deserved to carry on his undead penance in perpetuity.
He's a creature of the 90s, Wiz. He won't be happy unless he can instantly brood over the injustice of his own existence.
Though if you threaten the alley he calls home, beware, because Spawn will turn what is left of your life into a living hell.
This battle is sponsored by DraftKings Casino.
Right. I'm going with Spawn. Let me know who y'all going with. Here we go.
Night slays drive men insane. Brimstone in the air. Something's coming. If it wants a piece of me,
The Ghost Rider.
Go back to the pit you squirmed from, Hellspawn.
make me.
Ooh, I like the soundtrack.
Nothing personal. Vengeance calls.
Sloppy, you fight like a bum.
He said you fight like a bum.
You've earned your damnation.
The penance there shouldn't work against him. Oh, is it a giant form?
Welcome to hell.
hell truck. Shout out to Scorpion, get over here.
The vestments of the holy cannot disguise your wickedness. God forbid.
God forbid.
Simmons, your sins are innumerable. I am here to wreak vengeance on your soul. I eat sin for breakfast. Have a taste of your own goddamn medicine.
He lies. He is the Prince of Light. Wait, I'm an innocent.
Oh, so what is he using? The own penance there on him?
It's like you said, nothing personal, asshole.
It's probably because his penance there
Literally,
is
this
different.
was a nail-biter of a battle that pitted Ghost Rider's immeasurable power against Spawn's skill and versatility. Let's break this down into 4 categories.
First up, power. Divine Spawn could match God and Satan, who could create universes similar in scale to Ghost Rider's bouts with a lot of the powerhouses in Marvel.
But Zarathos was different. Remember, his power can match that of Mephisto and Galactus, who can threaten all of Marvel's infinite cosmic reality, far greater than any cosmos Spawn has ever affected. Even though Spawn's battled and defeated Satan in more recent comics, implying he's retained a level of power similar to his divine form, he couldn't match Zarathos in power alone.
Ghost Rider may take power, but remember, Johnny actively resists Zarathos' influence, so Spawn may have had time in the fight to learn and adapt to Ghost Rider before he went full Blue Fury.
And Spawn definitely had the edge in skill. He spent decades in military combat and is a master martial artist, whereas Johnny more so relies on his invincibility.
The ultimate dream power for a stuntman. Even with his crazy power, Ghost Rider was a lot more direct than Spawn, pretty much entirely focused on attacking the soul.
Which doesn't bode well for his versatility. Spawn can stop time, manipulate matter, turn intangible, control minds, warp reality. The Ghost Rider had a much more limited arsenal by comparison. Spawn had a huge advantage in this category.
Though with his invincibility, way greater power, and the ability to scorch your soul to nothing, Ghost Rider could score the win through brute force, right?
Not exactly. The last piece of the puzzle is their resistances. Basically, who was harder to kill. Spawn's constant mainlining of humanity's collective sin and pain meant he could survive attacks on his soul, including a penance stare, just like he resisted a very similar attack from Urizen.
Best of all, remember the time he rewrote reality to undo his own inexistence?
There was nothing the Ghost Rider could do to overpower that. And that time with the lance wasn't planned, it was purely instinctual. He could replicate it any time he wanted, like in his fight with God and Satan.
So how do you put Spawn down for good? Well, you can't. At least Johnny Zarathos could.
Unlike how Ghost Rider's soul has been vulnerable to attack before, like when Danny used the penance stare to depower Johnny.
This sort of thing actually happens a lot, even in recent comics. The whole reason Johnny and Zarathos are bonded in the first place is because Zarathos' soul was manipulated by Mephisto.
And not only does Spawn have plenty of experience manipulating souls, he can replicate the effect of the penance stare itself.
And just think about that. A penance stare on Zarathos would mean he's feeling the pain from every penance stare that he's ever done. A penance squared.
The Damnation Stare, on the other hand, actively helped Spawn, sending him to hell where he gets a literal infinite power boost.
And it wasn't just Spawn's soul powers that had spelled trouble. He had other ways to bypass Ghost Rider's immortality too, like transmutation, rewriting reality, or just straight up stealing his powers, which has worked on multiple Ghost Riders in the past.
Giving Spawn the final edge. Zarathos was almost unbeatable, a massive power advantage, soul destruction, immortality, but Spawn could counter everything thrown at him, and was too unkillable for Zarathos' strength advantage to matter in the long run against his crazier abilities.
That was one hell of a fight, and at Johnny went out in a blaze of glory.
Okay.
Is
I like that
Spawn.
comeback.
Next time on Death Battle.
Well, what's our next one? Is that
Subscribe and join as a member to see more.
My Hero versus Jujutsu Kaisen? Ooh, that one's gonna be fire. I definitely want to watch. I definitely gotta do a reaction to. They got apparently like a anti-hero league basically, which is like a Suicide Squad basically version of My Hero Academia and Villains is what it's called. It's supposed to be coming out soon. I'll be having a reaction to it